Lucy Rebecca Meadows is a 3-year-old girl who has been missing since July 25, 1996 from Goodlettsville, Tennessee. She was classified as an endangered and missing child. Born on October 1st, 1992, her current age would be 31. She stood 2 foot 8 inches tall and weighed about 30 pounds when she was last seen. She was wearing a long button-down blue denim dress with buttons on the front, white socks, and white canvas shoes. She is a biracial child, Asian and Caucasian, with brown hair, brown eyes. Lucy is of Korean descent and may understand a few words of Korean. Lucy Meadows, age 3, was last seen by her mother at 5:30 p.m. on July 25, 1996, in Rivergates Mall's parking lot outside of Kastner Knott department store in Goodlettsville, according to the report her mother gave. "Where's my child? Where's Lucy? Where's Lucy?" recalled Harry Bell, retired Goodlettsville detective. Bell worked on the case until his last day in 2011. The mall's security team was alerted to Lucy's disappearance immediately, and an extensive search of the parking lot and surrounding area was completed by law enforcement. No evidence related to her case was discovered, although witnesses saw a brown champagne-colored minivan in the parking lot which may be connected to her disappearance. It has never been identified. Lucy has never been heard from again, but Lucy was never seen in that lot by anyone besides her mother. Detective Bell said he remembers Lucy's mom, young Meadows, in those first moments, and her explanation. Lucy was inside her car, and the mother got out to let out the 3-year-old. She, young Meadows, said she opened the door, walked around to the trunk, and then the daughter disappeared. Bell interviewed witnesses who said they heard the mother scream. There was a security camera focusing on the parking lot, but it panned slowly, side to side. The area that we were looking at, by the time it got to the car, it didn't show a child there, Bell told News 2. Where was Lucy? How did she vanish? Investigators exhausted thousands of leads and scenarios. The search also focused in Clarksville, where Lucy's family lived. Other leads took them out of state. Detective Bell remembered a tip they followed all the way to Chicago. It was a dead end. Lucy disappeared while her mother, who's from Korea, and her father, Tom Meadows, were in a custody dispute, and they eventually divorced. Tom Meadows would have passed away. Tom Meadows, spoke to News 2 in 2001. "No closure, no end to this. Just wish we could find her," Meadows said. According to police, Meadows passed a lie detector test. News reports listed young Meadows' test results as deceptive. Detective Bell said she stopped talking to them less than a year into the investigation. "We didn't get a lot of cooperation from some family members, and that made it difficult," recalled Bell. 2 decades later, the questions and possibilities make it just as difficult. When you have that many variables involved, it makes it very tough, said Goodlettsville Police Chief Gary Goodwin. A tip came into the department as recent as 2016. Nothing came of it, but investigators take everyone seriously. There's really no scenarios that's off the table from you having to look at and consider, Goodwin said. Today, Lucy Meadows would be 31. An age progression photo shows possible changes in her appearance. Yet there's no change in the mystery of what happened in the Rivergate Mall parking lot. Investigators had to consider if Lucy was ever even there, but her reported abduction is what they have had to go on for 27 years. While Lucy remains missing, Lucy has never been heard from again. Lucy and her family lived on a farm in Clarksville, Tennessee in 1996. Investigators searched the property, but there was no indication of her whereabouts. Young's marriage to Lucy's father, Tom Meadows, had been troubled. According to Tom, the source of the problems was Young's friendship with Hyung S. Tammy Dye, who Tom referred to as a devastating influence on the family. After Dye's husband was deployed and was planning on leaving the Air Force after the deployment, she moved into Meadows' home for what was supposed to only be a few weeks, but wound up being. Lucy's parents filed for divorce a month after she went missing. The divorce was granted in 1997. And Young was granted custody of both the couple's children. Tom has been active in the search for Lucy and believes that Dye may have been involved in her disappearance. Young has reportedly been uncooperative in the investigation and has given inconsistent statements. She initially said Lucy was out of her sight for only a few seconds, then changed the time to 10 to 15 minutes. In addition, a witness reported that Young said that Lucy disappeared from a mall in Clarksville, Tennessee, before saying that she disappeared from Rivergate Mall. Investigators have stated they do not believe Lucy was at either mall on the day that she was supposedly abducted. Young has failed 2 polygraph tests about her daughter's disappearance, and when she was last interviewed, she refused to make a statement at all. Lucy's mother was born and raised in South Korea. She relocated to the United States in the 70s after marrying her oldest daughter, Amy's father, Larry Brookmeyer, an American soldier stationed at Camp Hovey. Young gave birth to Amy at Fort Campbell, Kentucky in August 1978, and she and Brookmeyer divorced in 1981, and the judge split custody between the two until Amy was school age. However, Young eventually cut ties with her daughter for nearly 15 years. Young met Tom Meadows through her boss, Mona Metcalf, also Korean and owner of the Clarksville bar called Mona's Log Cabin Lounge. Mona was dating her future husband, Larry Metcalf, a friend and former student of Tom, an economics professor at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville. After dating for a while, Tom and Young married in March of 1984. The first few years of the marriage were idyllic. The couple had few quarrels and were happy together. That is until one woman came along and changed everything. Young started attending a Korean church in Oak Grove where she met Hyung Sim Tammy Dai. Tammy had 4 children, 2 adults and 2 school-age. Her husband was leaving the Air Force, and the couple were planning to divorce. Tammy and her 2 youngest children temporarily moved in with the Meadows to hunt for housing. The living arrangements was supposed to be for a couple of weeks. However, 2 months later, Tammy and her children were still there, and she had made little effort to find a home. Young insisted that Tammy remain permanently in the house, which did not sit well with Tom. After Tammy became a permanent household member, Young changed. Tom later said that Tammy was a devastating influence on his family. By the spring of 1995, Lucy's family was falling apart. Tom and Young separated, and she filed for divorce in April on the grounds of adultery and inappropriate marital contact, which Tom denied. Young had also ruined relationships with her mother, sisters, and Amy, her daughter, who was now an adult and stationed overseas with the Army. She and her mother had reconnected the year before. Amy called her mother several times, but eventually Young made it clear she no longer wanted to speak to her daughter. Following their separation, Young began harassing her husband at his work office and making scenes in front of his colleagues. She had even threatened to blackmail him if they did not get her husband to sign divorce papers. Tom petitioned the court for a restraining order against his wife, which Chancellor Alex Darnell granted in March 1996. The order prevented Young from having contact with his friends and colleagues. Darnell also ordered her to turn over several guns at the farm to her lawyer until the divorce was finalized and refrained from offering any indignities to Tom at home or at work. The same month, Young gave power of attorney to Tammy that authorized Tammy to sign checks and necessary documents for her. According to Tom, she did this so Tammy could take care of the children if something happened to her. A month later, Darnell dismissed Young's divorce petition because she could not prove the divorce grounds. Because Tom did not ask for a divorce or agree to one, the couple remained married but separated, and he continued to pay the mortgage and bills at the farm. Darnell also ruled that Tom could visit his children regularly, but his wife would not allow him to see them or speak to them on the phone. He did not take the issue to court because he still believed he could save his marriage. In June of 1996, Tom, who was 56, lived in a triplex in Clarksville and started court proceedings to evict Tammy from the farmhouse. Neighbors told him that they had found Lucy wandering alone and crying on the road earlier one morning and had to pound on the door before Tammy answered. Young, who was 43, was working, and Tammy was supposed to be babysitting the kids. Young had also been known to leave Daniel at home alone for long periods of time. A hearing in the eviction case had been set initially for mid-July, but Di's attorney told the judge she could not attend court, so the judge rescheduled the hearing for September 13th. On July 26th, in the parking lot of the mall, police interviewed witnesses who said they heard the mother scream. Witnesses reported seeing a brown or champagne-colored minivan parked in a tree's shade 1 aisle away from the Meadows vehicle. Another witness saw a white female, a tan male, and a small child near the minivan. The child went with the man. Police appealed to the public to find the occupants of the vehicle, but they were never identified. Young said that she did not recall seeing a suspicious person or vehicle near her car. Police searched each store and the area surrounding the mall. A moving security cam in the Kastner Knott store did not capture Lucy. but it did catch her mother searching the parking lot. It also showed the meadows, but distant and a tree blocking the view made it difficult to tell who was there. Security cams that scanned the mall's parking lots were not focused on the Kastner knot when Lucy disappeared. Authorities checked all leads, including a second-hand report of an older Asian woman seen with Lucy 60 miles away in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Police had initially treated Lucy's disappearance as an abduction. The day before, a stranger kidnapped 7-year-old Morgan Violi from Bowling Green, Kentucky, an hour's drive north of Goodlettsville. Her remains were found in Tennessee, less than 15 miles from Goodlettsville. For a brief time, authorities thought that the cases might have been related. However, within a month of Lucy's disappearance, authorities started doubting her mother's story. Young failed both the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation polygraph test given on July 30th and the FBI test given on August 12th, and gave inconsistent statements. She initially told police that she took her eyes off Lucy for just seconds, then in an August 7th interview with the Leaf Chronicle said 10 or 15 minutes might have elapsed before she noticed her daughter was gone. The time discrepancy and Young's failed polygraphs led authorities to search her home and surrounding area on September 3rd, the Leaf Chronicle reported. Goodlettsville police brought their emergency command post to the 101-acre cattle farm because hot spots were detected during a flyover of the farm by a Tennessee Army National Guard helicopter equipped with infrared sensors. Police explained the hot spots could be attributed to the groundhogs or something other than the girl's body. The search involved multiple law enforcement agencies, the TBI, the FBI, Montgomery County Sheriff's Department, and mounted deputies from Sumner County's Sheriff's Office. Raphael, a TBI German Shepherd, twice indicated a scent while searching a pond at the farm and even went into the water. However, divers did not find the girl's body. Authorities searched the farm for 9 hours with no success. Tammy Dye refused to take a polygraph test and speak with authorities in Lucy's disappearance. She also refused to let detectives interview her 2 young children. Investigators stated there were also discrepancies between Young Meadows' account of her trip to the Rivergate Mall and Tammy's statement. Young Meadows eventually stopped cooperating with the police. Lucy's father was very active in the search for her and believed Tammy had something to do with her disappearance. With little evidence and few leads, the investigation stalled for several years. In May of 2006, a witness who was only 12 years old at the time of Lucy's disappearance in 1996 told police he had information about Lucy Meadows' case. He said he was in Lucy's home on the night before she vanished. He saw the little girl wrapped in a blanket on the farmhouse floor, and she looked as if she could have been deceased, and says he didn't come forward sooner because he initially didn't realize the significance of what he had saw. He has passed the polygraph test, and investigators believe his story. The adults in the house were panicked, huddled around her, and were shouting her name, according to Leaf Chronicle in 2006. He has not been publicly identified, but investigators stated he is a family member. Young has not provided any comment on the witnesses' statements and is no longer cooperating with police in Lucy's case, and she declined to give a public statement. After receiving a new tip, investigators interviewed Lucy's mother, and they attempted to take the latest information before a grand jury, but it is unclear if they ever did. Lucy's case remains unsolved. Her parents' divorce was granted in 1997. Tom Meadows passed away in 2010 at the age of 70. Tammy Dye now goes by Tammy Yang. She and Young Meadows reside in Clarksville. Daniel Meadows is now in his 30s and also lives in Clarksville. In my opinion, I do not believe that Lucy Meadows could have vanished without a trace in mere seconds, without her mother seeing or hearing anything. And how is it possible for witnesses to see the brown-colored minivan, the adult couple with the small child but not Young? It is never good when someone changes their story and fails 2 polygraphs or stops cooperating with the police. Does that sound familiar, guys? If Young Meadows and Tammy Dye did something to Lucy, maybe it was an accident and they panicked, or Lucy was misbehaving and someone snapped. Her mother had issues with losing her temper and striking out. That very well could be what happened in this case. But then there's the sighting at the mall parking lot of a small child leaving with a man. Was this Lucy? And if so, where did the man take her? Back to South Korea? The man reportedly had a tan, but maybe he was Asian or Hispanic and knew Dye and Young Meadows. If Young Meadows and or Tammy Dye harmed Lucy, What the hell did they do with the body? The cadaver dog picked up scents in their pond, but authorities did not find the body. Maybe something happened to her in the pond area and they disposed of her body elsewhere. I wonder if the 2006 witness was Daniel, Lucy's brother, although he was 11 in 1996. Yet he would have been in that house, or maybe it was one of Di's two children that was in the house that night. Authorities are attempting to start a grand jury investigation about Lucy's disappearance in Montgomery County, the county where she lived, rather than Davidson County where the Rivergate Mall is. The police are starting to believe something may have happened to her at home.